round.
Okay everybody, welcome to the DL's Best Pairs 2013 tournament. We have live commentary from myself, XE, Stewie and Edmard.
Hello.
The DL's Best Pairs 2013 is brought to you by Quantum Designs, Livestream hosted by Spitzy, in association with the DL Community Signature Store and hosted by Simply Funky. Just going over a few rules before the competition kicks off. This is the qualifying stages, this is round 2 of qualifying, so brought to you live on a Saturday night. The pairs will be given 1 run each, that's 2 between the pair. Person A will take his run and will be scored for angle, line, speed and overall impression. Each one of these equates to 25% of the score given and the score is out of 100 per person. Person B will do exactly the same, the overall scoring is out of 200 per pair. You only get 1 run each but have 2 redos to share, so if you mess up twice in your run and take both redos, your partner is left without none, so it's worth negotiating with your partner which runs to redo and which ones to keep. The top 10 highest scorers will bag the place in the 2013 pairs competition. That main event will happen on the 1st of July. In the event of there being a tie, there will also be a 1 run showdown, which is 1v1 with only 1 rerun and judged on FMDL rules. So coming up first, we have drifting from both Superfly and Xerox, and we are live with Superfly for his practice run.
Alright, so Superfly coming down. Straight here is Silverstone.
Nice on the practice, coming in at 64 miles per hour as he enters the first turn, and he's coming around transitioning very smoothly into the final turn, maintaining an average speed of 48 miles an hour, and he's now boosting up to 55, 56, 60 miles an hour upon the exit of the turn.
Personally, I would have liked to see more, a little bit more angle maybe, and possibly a better clip on the second corner.
Absolutely. Hopefully it's just pre-jitters or something to do with maybe the cold tyres. But he's definitely getting the most out of the car at the moment. Again, getting 50 to 53 miles an hour on that turn coming back. Also again, a smooth transition. From this point, obviously guys, we are live on YouTube. If you wish to check out the overall standings of the tournament or wish to be a part of the tournament itself, you can simply sign up by heading over to the Forza Motorsport forums on the Drift Lounge, and you can see the pairs competition briefly at the top. So this is XE Superfly's first run. He's now going for the first run of his qualifying session. First turn, doing a steady 59 miles an hour through the follow through, coming through into the final turn. He's got 48 miles an hour coming through. Very nice angle, very close line. Overall, I'd be impressed with that run, but knowing Superfly would probably want to redo that run. But we will have the scores and confirmation of the scores momentarily. Whether he wishes to sink or keep that run will also be updated momentarily.
He's a pretty smooth run, I have to say. He's got a really nice style. He's running a Fanatec wheel, so He's managing to get a really smooth style. Yeah, he's keeping that run we just heard.
Bear with us while we switch to Xerox on the live stream, ready for his practice run, and these scores will be coming in momentarily to us.
So yeah, Superfly laying it down out there. Really, it was really smooth, really consistent 2 runs between his practice and his proper run. I say I can imagine a pretty good score from that. You know, you can't expect anything less from these XE boys, to be honest.
Obviously, both Xerox and Superfly both rocking the Skylines as famously used by most of the Xenon members. Superfly rocking the R34, Xerox rocking the R33 in the traditional Xenon colourway, obviously representing Team Xenon. Okay, and the score is in for Superfly. He has now officially got an 89 out of 100. Very good score indeed for him. So we are now live with Xerox, and he will be doing his first practice run. So obviously the drifters are now lining up onto the 50 roll.
Looks like Xerox is just doing a bit of warming up of his tyres.
Very dramatic as always with Team Xenon.
Bit of a faster entry there from Xerox compared to Superfly, but it was a bit more reckless by the looks of it.
Coming through to the final turn, Xerox is getting 60 miles an hour. Smooth angle, smooth line. The average run for, obviously, Xerox as it goes. Very nice run indeed. Hopefully he can now produce this into the qualifying stages. Obviously now Xerox has 2 redos up his sleeves because Superfly did not use his redo. Just worth pointing out, the team name rocked by Superfly and Xerox is Superfile and Printer, obviously made famous from the YouTube videos that they've made together.
Good mates, these two, aren't they?
Oh yes. These guys have gone back quite a while. Obviously, me being the old leader of SJD, Subject Drift, I recruited Xerox, and then Superfly shortly followed, and since then it's just been one big
Happy
roll
family.
on the Fanatec's. Okay, so Xerox is going for his first qualifying run.
Oh, a little bit off that first clip. Still nice and quick though. He's putting down a really good speed.
Slightly just off the line into the final turn, but he has now recovered that very well. Pushing around 59 miles an hour coming out of the final turn. A good clean line overall.
He's running really nice speed, I have to say. And he's in the less popular of all the Skylines, the R33. And it's really interesting to see him running that. I usually only see him in an R34, to be honest.
Yeah, it's always very common for people when they do choose a Skyline to either use an R32 or a 34. Obviously, it's personal preference at the end of the day, but the 33 isn't as common amongst drifters late. We're just waiting to see if he wants to keep the run or sink the run, and also, if he is to keep the run, what the score will be and what the combined score of the team will be.
I mean, he could just do a redo now, because then he's still got one in case he makes a mistake. So, but obviously that was still a good run, so he might keep that.
And we await the decision from the judges to see. Okay, Xerox has actually initiated a redo for that run. Obviously he's not too happy, he knows he can do better than this. So hopefully we will see that very shortly. He's just coming back to do the run now. He's just coming from the straight up to the Seaman sign.
Yeah, he's on the first clip on that, he wasn't exactly on the best line for the rest of the track, and it did punish him.
It did look like a recovery run halfway through. Okay, Xerox entering in with 68 miles per hour into the first turn, and that's now actually deplenished into 54 miles an hour onto the transition. Final turn's looking very wide. It's not as consistent as the last run. Be interesting to see how it's judged. 60 miles an hour coming around the exit of the turn.
Just forgive me, I had to mute my mic for a minute there.
That's absolutely fine, my co-host. While we're here, while we wait for the report, whether he's keeping it, sinking it, or whether we're doing the overall scores, I might want to take your attention towards the actual drift lounge itself. Obviously, we take this time when the drifters are larking about to actually read some stuff that's actually on the forum, something that might be of interest to the community. And one interesting theory that's come up on the drift lounge is a thread that's made by Turbulence, and he's obviously entered a lobby at some point, and he's got an argument up his sleeve where he's been poorly judged in a battle. And he's wondering whether big entry is better than the consistency. So it's worth checking out that overall thread. We've just learned that Xerox is doing a redo, so this is the final redo, the final chance he's got to qualify.
Pressure's on here. He wants to get. Obviously, he's using his redos. Oh dear, he's gone off.
He has gone off the track. First turn looked extremely good, right on the clipping point, but he just looks like he didn't initiate just quick enough coming into the transition. Looks like he's obviously fell off the track, whether he's not feathered the throttle or he's just completely locked up his wheel remains to be seen. Good entry speed, 64 miles an hour. Whether he'd maintain that, he might come in a little bit too hot for that turn. We will obviously await to see the verdict of that, whether he gets scored as a 0 or whether they will actually give him the option to use a previous run. We're not too sure on what that clarification of the rule is of yet.
It's a real shame, really, because he looked really good coming into that first turn, but he just slammed on the brakes and locked up all 4 wheels. It's highly unusual from Xerox, really, because
it's quite out of character for any good, solid, well-round drifter, obviously, to see the pressure. I mean, we haven't really seen this much in VFD, obviously with redos enabled. Obviously, this is a pairs comp, so he's looking over his shoulder, looking at how well Superfly's done, and he may not even actually be content to qualify the pair of them into this round. And it all really lies on Xerox's shoulder. Was he a bit too greedy with his other calls? Were his runs good enough to go through? It all remains to be seen. And clearly it is a shame for the pair at this moment in time. We're just waiting to see what the judges will give as a verdict to this.
I'd say this is probably a 0 for him right here. It's a shame, really, because, by taking those 2 redos, he's given himself quite a lot of pressure. And obviously that got to him. I still think it was quite weird how he just locked up all 4 wheels and just dived off the track all of a sudden. I think maybe something happened.
I would have thought maybe myself on the live stream looking at it, it would have been lag or something. But obviously we've seen it hand in hand in the game. He has just completely come off the track.
Yeah. It's very odd. I mean, you might say lag, but there's nothing really in his way to make him lag, and the only thing that could have happened is a frame rate drop or something, some sort of lag like that. But again, I don't think that was enough to make you slam on the brakes like that.
According to the judges coming through on the party chat from the information we're actually being fed in, they're asking the drifter whether he lagged coming into that turn. From our point of view, obviously on Spectate Follow Cam, we can see he has entered the first turn with a lot of angle, but it looks like the car has just completely bugged out coming into the transition. He's just either gone too wide or it's straightened up at the most awkward of times. Can't really give credit much to the drifter on that. He had 3 runs, including first qualifying 2 redos. The judges obviously will be thinking of this because these guys are good advocates for the tournament, and obviously they're checking their rulebook to see where it stands. Personally, if they were to be scored, I think it'd have to be known throughout the whole tournament going forward that you could take maybe an additional run or maybe a set amount of points as a forfeit. But looking at the way the tournament's actually created, I'd be expecting a 0 and for the team to only be walking out with 89 points as a whole for this round.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's the only fair way, because otherwise then, you know, you've taken your 2 redos, you've taken your chances, and then you've lost out. And you can't then not give other teams that opportunity.
And of course, if you give the drifter, albeit that these are friends of us who we know, if you give the drifter the opportunity to say, yes, I lagged, they're always going to say, yes, I lagged. Clearly we could see that the car had bottomed out. It was more driver error, but maybe it was completely different from his screen, and it's up to him to maybe prove that, obviously by saving the replay and sending it over, because it will carry over the recording of your game, so we can see if he lagged from his point of view. Obviously it would be hard to replicate to prove that. So we're still eagerly awaiting the results of the judges. Unfortunately, this is holding up the tournament. Obviously, this hasn't been amended for the tournament itself. Obviously, the next lobby 2, will be kicking off at 10:15 GMT. So maybe there will be a delay, or at least we will try. Hopefully, hopefully.
I have to say, if Xerox here is trying to say that his screen lagged or something, I don't think that's enough of a reason to give him another redo. Personally, if I was doing that and my screen experienced a bit of lag, then I wouldn't have slammed on the brakes. I would have tried to carry on. You know, especially if it's your last run, your last chance, you can't just give up on the run. It is last chance saloon.
Obviously, again, we're just looking at, conscious of the time, it's now 11 minutes past 10. It's not looking likely that Apex, Bandit and E.G. TaylorMade are going to be able to do their runs within the time limit, so Lobby 2 may well be stretched back to 10:30. And obviously at 10:30 we have scheduled a break, so we will be going long into the night with this tournament and obviously with the hosting.
Wow. So we've heard that there is going to be a redo of Xerox's last run.
Okay, so we're actually learning that for the most awkward of calls, that the drifter has actually experienced some lag, and it's also incurred in a sound which is off-putting for the drifter. They are giving him the option for redo because they gave him the option. Obviously I would take that as well. Bearing in mind your tyres are very cold at this stage as well, so he's got a lot against him. He needs to just remain calm, just go for a normal run, nothing too big, nothing too serious, just get the points home, take this as a safe haven.
Good speed coming into that corner, kissing the rumble strips of first and
as
second.
You can see, there was nearly driver error again coming onto that transition. You can see the car just went in a little bit too much and he had to quickly snap out of it. So maybe looking at the previous run, he snapped too late on the transition, but a very good run, obviously coming in at 64 miles an hour onto the entry. Very aggressive entry into the first corner. Transition was a little bit off for us from the judging panel, but we can see that reflected in the scores. Third corner, very consistent, and again exiting with the same speed he put in, 64 miles an hour. So a very fast, aggressive run. You would have thought he would have took less chances given the opportunity for a third run. So we now eagerly await the scores from the judges, and obviously he cannot sink this round, so it has to be a keeper.
I would have liked to have seen him possibly a bit closer to the last clipping point there. I think this pressure is really getting to him a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. He's gone for safety. He's gone for a safer turn on the last one. He's done his damage on the first corner.
Xerox has been in this for a very long time. I remember back in the early days of Forza 3 when he actually asked for a tryout on my old team, Team Vortex, before he was on anything. And I think shortly after that was when you picked him up for SJD.
Is this the Team Vortex with, was it Road Rat?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah. See, I remember, I don't know if it was Team Vortex Power back in the day, but there was a team called Team Joker that obviously some of the members did cross over between the two teams. This is going back to FM2, so maybe I've known Road Rat a little bit longer from that point. But again, he is a good drifter, and the scores have just come in. Obviously, he has to keep that run. He has got a 68 overall.
So that's a 68, and the total for that is 157.
So if we just change our total screen at the moment, we can actually give you who is in first and who is in last place out of those who have drifted. So if we go largest to smallest on our Excel sheet, you can actually see that Sublime drifting, both Blinky and SD Moosey scoring a 79 and 83 between them. They are in first place with 162 points. In second place, surprisingly, because of what's happened today, the excellent run that Superfly has provided and the safety run given by Xerox, they are actually comfortably in second place with 157 points. Simply Sublime, SDZ and FNK Hakasuka both got 68 and 79 points between them, and the total for that was 147. Stanced JSI 80 got a very impressive run, an 82 out of 100, and Uniques maybe had the same situation with Xerox. He actually scored a 62, so giving them fourth place is 104 with 144 points. And XE Baggins and Driftbound Drifter Dave for the team T Baggins scored 134. So those are your top 5 teams at the moment as it stands. We now go live to
TaylorMade.
EG TaylorMade.
Yeah. So TaylorMade's just gone for his practice run.
TaylorMade is rocking the ZR1 Corvette, I believe.
Yep. Not the best Corvette to be running.
No, but it has been made popular since it has been brought into the franchise. Obviously, the engine is very compatible with all muscle cars that are on the game. So it's an engine, if people are familiar with, they can drop it into a lot of General Motors cars. So
all the
it is
Chevrolets basically can run that.
But yeah,
LS9, and it's a really cool engine as well. You can if you add a turbo, install the sport turbo and then delete the sport turbo, then you've got a naturally aspirated LS9, which is a really powerful tool as a drift car.
Okay, so this appears to be the first qualifying run. He's getting in a speed of 70 miles an hour just as he comes in, now exiting with 50 miles an hour. Not the best line coming through, but some good angle. And he's coming into the final turn, 48, 49, 50 miles an hour. Not as fast as you'd expect from a muscle stroke sports car, as you can see there.
Yeah,
an almost well-rounded
you'd
solid.
expect more speed than that.
Oh, you would. I mean, you probably would see that more on tracks such as Suzuka, maybe a little bit more on Tsukuba, but for Silverstone, the JDM cars we've actually seen have actually gone faster so far on this final turn compared to the American muscle cars that we've actually seen in the tournament so far.
He was nice on the last clip though. I have to say that last corner was, if you compare it to runs we've already seen tonight, I'd say that was probably better than what Xerox delivered on his last clipping point.
100% agree with that. I mean, as you can see, Xerox had to go with safety. First run wasn't as bad. Second run, obviously, he wanted to redo that to try and get a bit more greedy with the points. And the third run, he just completely dived off track. So the fourth redo, due to technical difficulties that he experienced in the game, obviously made it a very aggressive but safe run. Aggressive in the first and second clipping points, and obviously the second turn being the third clipping point, very safe indeed. We're just now awaiting the points from the judges. We've just learned that he is actually keeping the run. So we just now await for that score to come in.
It's fair enough, not a bad run. He could have been better on that second clip. He didn't transition as far out as you would have liked. but the other two clips he was quite good on those. So I think it's fair to keep that run.
Absolutely. And obviously these judges aren't just I wouldn't say they're not just making the numbers up, they are taking a lot of time to give you the scores, because they are taking a lot of stuff into consideration. Obviously there's a minute catch-up delay on the live stream as well, so they can get another second opinion within a minute's time. But it's fair to say that there's two guys doing it, obviously Joshy being one of them, and he's taken a lot of consideration. Joshy, over the years as we've known him, hasn't been a biased character at all. He does take a lot of thought into account. You can see that with the running of Simply Funky, his team. So we just, obviously, it's taken its toll, but we will have an answer for you. But he is keeping that run. Okay, and the points have come in for E.G. TaylorMade. He has taken away 72 points overall for this score. For this round, their team currently doesn't have a team name on our sheet, so I don't know, Ed, should we give them one? Should we just put one in there?
The Corvette team, I don't know, something about the fact that they're running Corvettes.
What we will do is we will.
ZR1s?
Yes, I think what we should do is, if there are people who are live watching us on YouTube, drop a comment down. I don't know how you guys do it with your hashtag or something like that. E.G. TaylorMade and APX Bandit. If you guys would like to copy those gamer tags in and then put a team name beside it, we'll go with the comment with the most likes, and we will put that in our sheets. Obviously, just until they rename the team themselves.
I was thinking if they're both in ZR1s, you could call them ZR2.
That would be pretty cool. Okay, so the first practice run for Apex Bandit has gone underway.
Not exactly the cleanest run. It's a good thing it's just a practice run. It's interesting, I was looking at his telemetry there, and obviously looking at his steering wheel action, you can see that he's on a controller. But it's interesting, most of the last corner there, it was actually not counter-steering at all. It was managing to go around the corner drifting without counter-steering. It was quite funny.
So on the telemetry, you may well have been, I don't know, feathering the throttle, just going with the flow.
Yeah.
So we're just awaiting the drifter to go back to the start.
And then he'll probably take his first run. He's got two redos again, just like Xerox did before. So there's not really much pressure on him right now. He should be able to get a good run in, and hopefully from what has happened in the previous run, he'll be able to learn from that and realise that if you've got something good, maybe not take a redo.
First turn, in my opinion, looked a little bit sloppy. It looks like he had to almost re-enter. He coming with the desired angle, but then flattened out. Coming into the final turn, you can see he's clipping just 60 miles an hour coming out of it. It's interesting to see, obviously, how different controller drifters obviously are two-wheel drifters, but you can see there are a lot of correctional errors when it comes to trying to get the big angle coming in. Unless obviously you've got your dead zone set up and you've sat there for years and years practicing and practicing. You can see there are some rookie mistakes coming through, and Apex Bandit is not new to the forums at all. He's a vet, and he is keeping this run, so we await that score. Obviously he knows he's got two redos on the cards, but he's just playing it safe. He might have thought that was a good run himself. We're not going to take that away from the drifter.
I think if that was me personally, I would have taken it again. The first corner, he was very shallow into that corner. I think could have got a bit more of an aggressive entry in there. Even though he is on the controller, I know that's possible. But you know, it's up to him at the end of the day.
And if you think about it, the ZR1 is almost a risk-free car. It's quite heavy, it's quite stable. Obviously you've got a fair bit of tyre width in the back there, so you can recover quite a lot. You can just throw it into a corner and there's enough torque and there's enough tyre width there to just grip through the corner if need to. You know, there is a lot of recovery in these cars with two redos on the cards. You know, I would give that another go. If you don't better it, then just take a safety run after. Don't go too hasty. You know, this is
Yeah.
it is qualifying. You know, obviously in the Grand Prix and with Formula Drift, people are gunning to try and get the top scores. It's a make it or break it system, and you are relying on your partner to either do better than you in your last run, obviously to better the scores, and that hasn't happened for him.
You know, it's interesting. For those of you who may wonder why I said earlier that the ZR1 is not the best Corvette to use, it's because actually the best one is the Z06 because it gives the most bang for your buck, basically. It's because of the lower PI, so the ZR1 is already an S-Class, and the lower PI of the Z06 means you can upgrade it more fully and prepare it better for drifting. So it provides a better platform for a drift car. All right, so we've just heard the points. There is 66 points for Apex Bandit. So that makes 138 altogether.
So again, as you can see, usually the following trend that we are getting with the drifters is the guy who runs first is putting in the hammer throw of the runs, so to speak, and the follow guy is almost, I wouldn't say doing the rookie mistake, but they are not going as brave as their predecessor. Both we can see this with Bandit and TaylorMade, and we can also see this with the case of Xerox and Superfly. We saw this yesterday as well with Stance 2JZ and Unique's throwing in a 62 and Stance 2JZ 880, sorry, throwing down an 82, so another very impressive run. So if we alter the table of contents now, we can actually see that EG TaylorMade and Apex Bandit, they are actually sitting in 5th place, so very comfortable. Obviously you get the first 10 guys going through. Team Teabagging's falling down to 6th place. None of the other standings have changed thus far in the tournament.
Yeah, it's very early on at the moment as far as qualifying goes. I mean, we've still got quite a few people to tick off the list. So I think maybe with 138 they might feel a little bit worried. They're at the bottom end of the pack so far. But, you know, we're still yet to see a lot of people, and we don't know what they're going to do and how well they're going to do. So we'll just have to wait and see on that.
Okay, drifters, I think that we're going to go into a short break as we set up the second lobby. You have been watching the Pairs 2013 competition. Obviously, this is the third instalment of that competition. There has been previous predecessors of the tournament that haven't been live streamed. Obviously, this is the first one. It's been brought to you by Quantum Designs. Live stream has been hosted by Spitzy, and it's also in association with the Drift Lounge Community Signature Store and hosted by Simply Funky. I have been Exy Stewie and my co-host Edmard, and we will be back shortly. Okay, and welcome back to the DL's Best Pairs 2013. This is the second lobby. Unfortunately, we've had a few dropouts and they will be presented in the next lobby. The actual live commentary is brought from myself, XE Stewie, and my co-host, Edmard.
Hello.
And the event itself is brought to you by Quantum Designs. Livestream has been hosted by Spitzy in association with the DL Community Signature Store and hosted by Simply Funky. Okay, so the first guys in the paddock for us today, lining up to take their first practice runs, will be BD and Superfly. They are a team called Treatopisms, and looking at the state of the cars, we're obviously a little bit excited to get this underway. BD is rocking the Supra into this battle. This is the second Supra that we've seen so far into the tournament. So it'll be interesting to see.
Hoping for a good run from BD right now.
Okay, so it looks like he's going for his first practice run. So we will just get the telemetry up. And he has entered with 85 miles an hour into this first turn for practice, but his speed has gone drastically down to the 50 miles an hour, so he's not carrying that speed through that corner into the transition. A moderate line for a practice run. I'd like to see him a bit more balls out into the next run, but you can see 66 miles an hour coming out of the turn, so very fast towards the end, very fast entry, but the middle of the run is looking quite slow. You may want to improve that to get a bigger score overall in the tournament.
Yeah, when he entered that corner, I feel like he was a bit unsure of what the car was doing as he entered the corner. I mean, you know, it's just a practice run, finding his feet. He hasn't drifted for the past 20 minutes or been faffing around in the rubbery, so you know, he's obviously feeling that. That wall has claimed many people.
That wall has stopped many a team video.
That's so true.
Lives have been lost. There is a wall placard behind it, just similar to the Nürburgring, with all the deaths of the famous DL drivers. Okay, so we are going into the first qualifying run for Driftbound BD. I will now let Edmar take over this section.
Okay, so he's done really well on the first corner. Could have got better on that second clip. And he's come around into the third clip. He's bang on. That's really nice, and he's got plenty of angle and speed. He's up to like 55 miles an hour as he's exiting that corner. He was hovering about 53 on the way through the corner, which is what we saw from Superfly earlier, so that's a really good speed. And yeah, solid run there from BD.
This is what we would come to expect from a Supra driver. I mean, the Supra is a well-equipped car. It's notorious in drift battles. You know, it's a well-proven car within the drift lounge. That with the R34, the Mustangs and the Corvettes. As we can see here, he's driving it extremely well, considering he hasn't been doing anything for the past 20 minutes. Unfortunately, that's been due to the technical issues of getting people involved with the category. So we're just learning now whether or not he's going to keep that run and what that score may be of that run. So exactly, Edmond, what would you expect to see score-wise for that run if you were judging it?
Well, it's difficult for me to judge based on the other ones because I haven't seen everyone's runs so far. I've only seen tonight's runs, but I'd expect maybe somewhere in the 80s. Could have been slightly better on that second clip. So you know, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw a high 70. But judging by what they've given so far, I'd expect somewhere in the 80s, definitely.
It was a similar run to what Stance produced. Stance obviously got an 82. No one is really threatening the position that Superfly has dropped for individual scores. He obviously got an 89, but his actual team overall got 157 due to the best performance from Xerox himself. So we are just awaiting the scores now.
Yeah, the Superfly has this amazingly smooth sort of style that he's managed to get, and we've just received a score of 82 for BD, which is really good.
Which is what we actually expected. Okay, so
Yeah.
we should be following Sunderfly, obviously the co-driver for Triapisms. So
Sunderfly is another member of Team Driftbound, along with BD, and you know, it's a good opportunity for that team to show where their skill lies as well in this tournament.
As we can see here, Sunderfly and BD rocking a similar colour scheme, obviously using a dark blue, more towards more of a teal, maybe. I'm not too hot on the colours. Obviously both rocking a GoPro logo, some Wed Sport stuff there. Very nice uniform for what they're doing.
It's good to see them running a similar design as well. Looks
cool. So that was the first practice run. So we are now going into the first qualifying run for Sunderfly, and he hasn't skipped the 50 roll there, which is good to see on drivers, and he is entering with 70 miles an hour, and that is declining into 56 miles an hour, so very fast through this turn.
Yeah, good consistent speed there, and really snappy, nice transition into that last corner. I have to say he's probably done better than I expected there. It was really good, actually.
Very smooth. There wasn't much wobble with the actual car itself, as some cars we've seen have almost reinitiated. It just looks like that with the way they drive the cars. So we're just going to wait to confirm if he's going to sink that run or if he's going to keep that run. Again, Edward. Just confirmed he's going to keep that. I would be surprised if he didn't. And it's nice to see drivers just coming in, take one run each, going for it. You know, just getting in, getting the job done, speeding up the lobby for us. And credit to the guys, you know, doing exceptionally well there.
Interesting to see what his score is compared to BD's, because that was a very strong run. I just watched on the live stream again and watched a little replay for myself, and that transition was probably the best one we've seen tonight. That was a really nice transition. So yeah, we're just waiting here for the verdict from the judges. See what score we got. Hopefully we'll get that score for you soon. Still counting. Okay, so judges are deliberating. Obviously it was a good run, and they want to judge it fairly, according to what everyone else had got in the previous runs.
This way is just as nerve-wracking for us as it is for the drifters, because we're eager to see what the scores are so we can obviously get it out to the general public and to the drifters themselves. But a very high score from the young drifter himself. He has climbed an 87, so this is actually the second highest score that we've actually received. So the actual total all in is 169, which is the new #1 score for the pairs competition of 2013. So in first place we have Triapisms, which is Driftbound BD and Sunderfly. In second place, Sublime Drifting, SD Blinky and SD Moosey. Superfly and Printer knocked down into third place. XC Superfly and Xerox obviously hosting that team. Simply Sublime, SDZ and FNK Hakasuka with 147 between them. Team Purple have moved down into 5th place, Stance and Uniques taking a humble 144 points. The team with no name, or as we've now dubbed it as ZR2, e.g. TaylorMade and Apex Bandit, have got an accumulation of 138 points. And in 7th place, finally we have T-Baggins, which is XE Baggins, and Driftbound Drifter Dave, both getting a score of 134 between them. So they are the standings so far for the pairs competition, and we now await confirmation of Bob Studley to take the reins for the next
practice run. He's on his practice run, I believe.
He's on the practice run now. So Bob Studley, 762 and Go Riser, they are the two two competitors which have linked up to make the team Z-Bros. We will question them later as to how they come about with Z-Bros, because we would have thought they'd have been in 350Zs, something of that nature, but it might be inspired into something else. If you know the answer to this, drop it in a comment on the YouTube page, and maybe we can get an answer to this. So we're just going to leave you in the company of Bob Studley to do his runs.
Interesting seeing his driving style here. He's looks like a control. He's using sim steering, isn't he? Apparently he's using sim steering on the controller, which would explain the twitchiness that he's experiencing there. Wouldn't be surprised if he's spending quite a lot of toll on that car as well. I mean, you could see from his driving style it's slightly different, and there was something up, and obviously that sim steering on the controller is what that was, and it's really cool to see that happening. I mean, you never see a controller drifter on sim steering just because of the snappy nature of it, and usually you need a wheel to be able to react to that.
And even then on the wheel, it's quite piss poor as well. Okay, so Bob Studley is starting his run. Bob Studley in the R35 or the GTR, whatever you guys want to call it. He's entered in at 66 miles an hour. Very slow. Maintaining good speed at 59 through that first corner though.
Yeah, he didn't scrub too much speed coming into the corner, which is good. Bit slow on the last apex, and he's been that run. He'll have to take a redo.
Well, we'd hope the drifter would take the redo. You never know, Bob Studley might be a little bit crazy up there. Okay, it has been confirmed. It's going to be. It always will be the redo.
Yeah. Interesting rim choice on that R35. So he got the Hammans on there. I think he does. I mean, I'm not using a controller to watch this, so I can't actually rotate my view of his car, but
okay, so this is the second run. Very, very tidy into that first corner, very smooth considering.
Yeah, I'm liking this.
He's on the controller.
Especially for a controller, this is really good. Nice and smooth.
58 miles an hour coming out of the last turn. Very good transitions. It'd be interesting to see how they judge this. I mean, looking at his first run, obviously, it was a little bit slow. A little bit, I'd say, more nervous than anything. You could just tell with the car, the way it was reacting. But this run was a lot more composed. Okay, so we just learned that Bob Studley is keeping the run.
Yeah. Be interesting to see his score here. It was very consistent with the sort of line that we've seen of the highest scores here. It's it's interesting to see the difference here. We saw a difference in speed with this guy here. I mean, Bob Studley is a bit slower than the others, which is understandable when you're using a controller because you're constantly making steering corrections and throttle adjustments when you're on the controller. So, it's a completely different style, but obviously we don't discriminate here. We invite everyone to be joining in here. And we just heard that he has got a 74 from the judges.
He hasn't actually done too bad. He has come higher than a few drifters, to mention XE Baggins, who obviously is on the wheel. He didn't actually have a bad run himself. Higher than Apex Bandit, higher than EG TaylorMade. Uniques, he's done better than Uniques. He's also scored higher than SDZ. SJD Xerox, obviously, because you've seen the way he done his actual run himself. So we're actually now going live, and we should be viewing Go Riser. Again, another car we haven't seen yet. We may see more of is his S14.
Interesting wing choice on that S14.
It does look a bit ricey. It does. Again, a lot of painted on stuff. If we rotate, we can see you're rocking some form of body kit.
What wing do you usually choose on an S14, Stewie?
I'll just go with a stock wing, to be fair. I've never been much of a S14 drifter unless you're going for the missile look, but
Yeah.
Wings for me aren't really that attractive. I try to keep the car nice and clean and stock looking. So
I quite like the Duloc wing on the S14. It's more of a lip than a wing, really. From the choice we've got, it's probably the best thing, really.
Yeah, I can imagine. So this is Riser going for his first practice run. He is actually clocked in at 64 miles an hour before he's got to, I'm assuming we're still rocking a 50 roll there. Again, this is a practice run, you're not going to take anything away from him, but he was definitely speeding coming into that turn.
I think if he was going to do a better run there, to start with, he could have started way further right. You know, there's no restriction.
Anticipate the body roll of the car as well into that first turn. You don't just have to force it upon himself. I think we're learning that he may be on the control as well. On the telemetry, he's flicking left and right quite a bit. It's not looking as smooth. Again, this is
beauty of telemetry there.
Oh yeah, you can actually see it's very skeptical on the telemetry. And just so the viewers are aware, Go Riser is the counterpart of Bob Studley for the Zebros. The Zebros at the moment have got 74 points between them, so we'll be eager to see what Riser can produce. Looking at his practice runs, I don't really want to be a betting man, but I think we're going to be maybe looking at a 64 or 65.
I think possibly, yeah. I mean, on his way back, he was a lot better than he was on his way there, so we could see something on around like the high 60s, I think. He's not quite as consistent and speedy as Bob Studley, so we'll just have to wait and see him as he goes on to his run here. And he definitely was speeding there coming into the corner.
And with that speed, he hasn't maintained it. He entered in with 68 miles an hour. He's gone down to 52, and on the final turn, he is marging around 49 miles an hour. The actual line of the run wasn't bad. This is very sketchy towards the end. I'd be interested to see how the judges do that towards the end of the turn, how far they want to go. But he has just clipped, straightened up, almost trying to revive a spin there towards the end of the turn. But he's gone balls out. He's well within his limits.
We have heard that he is going for a redo on that run. Obviously, he was probably worried about what he did at the end of the run there, where he kind of had a bit of a moment exiting the last corner. So, you know, it's fair enough. He's got 2 redos, so I'd say go all out for this one. He seems to have stopped on the straight.
Okay. Yeah, the confirmation has come in. He has been told that he is speeding going into the 50 roll, so he is actually being told to back up and retake this redo that he's doing. He's obviously being told that he is speeding, and obviously if he did keep that run, that would be a negative against him. So we are interested to see. Again, 70 miles an hour straight in. He is not doing the 50 roll.
Sticking it to the man, I think.
And so you should be. This is almost a rebel run from him, whether it's on purpose or not. But first turn, almost in the middle of the turn itself, transition again in the middle, not even touching the clipping point. Final turn was a lot better compared to what we've seen earlier. Give credit to the drifter, but he has one more redo. But again, he is still speeding into that first turn. I'm not too sure if the rules do have a speed limit. I haven't quite checked up on that myself, but we have seen slower entries from other cars. So whether he's aware of it or not, or whether it's just a straight gun, but you would take that into account, wouldn't you? If everyone was just gunning into the first turn, people would be starting their runners from a lot further back and going for the crazy 90-degree entries.
Yeah, and also the 50 roll, having a set 50 roll gives everyone the same chance of getting to the first corner at a similar speed, and you know, it's so that it gives everyone a bit more of an even standing point at the start of the run. And you know, if you're just speeding into the first corner as fast as you want to go, then that's disadvantaging to everyone else, because then you can take it however you like. So,
I mean, it is not hard. You can see on your own telemetry, you can see on your own dial. You know, you can tell it's the sense of speed you are going. If you are speeding, you are speeding.
exactly.
You cannot hide from it. We have a live stream to prove this. We have 2 hosts that are viewing this. We have judges that are looking at this. This is the second run he has sped on. So we will see if the judges do pick up on this. The run overall wasn't the greatest run. I'd be looking around 50 mark, 51 maybe. But, you know, they've got to take into account speed, and do you avoid the run?
Looks like he's going for another run.
It does look like he's going for a redo. Again, speeding. What's going on here? 68, 69 miles an hour coming in. Again, not maintaining the speed. He's going 49 at the end of the first turn. Coming into the final turn.
2 clips.
Coming into the final turn. I don't know how to call this one. Again, it's good, but it's sloppy. It's illegal. That's what it is. It's,
yeah.
You know, the crime isn't just the wing on his car. He is actually drifting like a hooligan at the moment. So we'll be interested to see what the judges pick up on this.
Oh, I'm not expecting much from this. Yeah, that's what I heard, yeah.
Okay, so news has just come in. The judges have heard the songs of praise from the live stream, and Spitzer will update the interface to show this. Unfortunately, the counterpart of Zairu and Go Riser has been disqualified after being told for the 4th and final time that he is speeding. So, unfortunately, Zairu will be taking only 74 points into this, which does put them, unfortunately, at last place. Very sorry to see. Obviously, Bob Studley, his counterpart, would be enraged at this, I would have thought.
Either that or he's in on it and just having a laugh with him.
I mean, the tournament isn't as serious. I mean, some people, you can take it as serious as you want. We take it serious because we are the obviously commentating on this. But, you know, if you're there with a friend, you just drift in for the sake of it, then that's cool. But if you've taken someone else's sign-up space, maybe, then that's not going to go down very well with all the viewers. You're just going to make yourself look like a total jackass on YouTube.
Yeah, it's not really fair on other people as well. You're wasting people's time if you're just going to mess around like that.
It is unfortunate. We're just waiting confirmation now from the technical team on the ground. Obviously, that would be Irene Supreme. I think that's his game attack. And obviously, FNK Joshi. Oddball is next. Who is Oddball running with?
Super Snake, I believe. So yeah, we've got FNK Oddball going for his practice run at the moment. Very interesting livery on that 370Z. 370Z is a car that really we should be seeing more often. It's a really cool car. I think it's Nissan did a really good job with the 370Z, created a brilliant car, and it's actually pretty good at drifting if you can get a handle on the unusual centre of balance that it has. But you know, it's really interesting to see more people running the 370Z. So yeah, FNK Oddball is first up for Funky Dynamite, which is Oddball and FNK Super Snake.
Okay, it's just a difference. Obviously, on our sheet we had Oddball and TNT Scafey together, and they were supposed to be, I think, Funky TNT, but they've changed the lineup. The drivers all agree. Obviously, we just want to get this competition rolling. The other guys are happy to make a team at a later date with what's left. They're obviously all FNK members apart from TNT Scafey, and I'm sure he doesn't mind who he runs with. So credit to the guys, they have changed it up to keep the flow of the tournament going. Obviously this is qualifying, it is taking up a lot of time, and we've got FNK Oddball and FNK Super Snake both making up team Simply Funky, we believe. But this will be edited and adjusted as soon as we get more information on this.
Well, we saw FNK Oddball going for his run there. It was a pretty consistent run, decent speed. It wasn't fantastic speed, But you know, it's not all about speed. It's also about the line that he took, which was actually pretty solid line there. Impressive, and I expect we can see a pretty mid-range score compared to everyone else at the moment. Probably say, I don't know, maybe like low 70s. Oh, we've actually heard that he's going for a redo. Obviously, not happy with what he's got there. So, using up his redo, that means that Team Funky Dynamite have only got one more redo there. So, we'll be interesting to see what he does with this.
It's interesting, the colour scheme on the actual car itself, with the damage that's on the front represented on the bumper. It actually goes really well with the livery.
Looks really cool, doesn't it?
It does. Okay, coming into the final turn, doing 52 miles an hour, and he's gone down to 45 miles an hour, obviously because he's come away from the clipping point there. He's not followed the most appropriate lines, but it is what he's done. So maybe I'd be thinking, should I have kept the redo? Should I have gone with the round I had earlier?
He's keeping that run by the sounds of it.
Edmard, what are your thoughts? What would you say was the better run? Would you say the first run or the second run?
I would have personally. I would have taken the first one as to be the better run, but you know, it's obviously he wasn't happy with it, so he went for the second run. And you know, I can see why he would.
He did gamble on it.
Yeah, he would. But then also, you might want to say, well, maybe I don't want to gamble again. Maybe he wants to give Super Snake that little buffer of a possibility of a redo, so maybe that's why he's taken that run.
Again, some of these guys that are actually in the lobby, Riser, Super Snake, we've had, just going down the list, we have also had Xerox, Superfly. Any more that I can pick out on the fly. JSI Nando obviously will be present with us later. These guys have all been on teams with each other. I know SJD. I was the leader there under SJD Optimus at the Gamer Tag. We've had a lot of these guys in, and it's interesting to see because these guys are improving. They are a lot better than when I last seen them 6 to 8 months ago. It's very nice and pleasant to see that these guys have come on as drifters.
It comes such a long way as well, and you know, Super Snake as well. I remember the day he got his first wheel. He was on the controller for quite a while with me on Team Vortex, and now he's moving on to bigger and better places, and he's really trying to get his name out there. He's doing really well, and you know, all power to him. He's going about it in exactly the right way. He's a top guy. So we've just heard that FNK Oddball gets a 70, which is pretty much what I thought he was going to get, and no surprises there.
We're sorry if we're getting technical difficulties coming through on the live stream. Apparently, according to Spitzy, that Ed is coming in quite quiet. He sounds very, very loud to me from my point of view. Ed will rejoin us. So we have now got FNK Super Snake in the Shelby Mustang taking his practice run. Going quite a solid practice run if we look at it, the final turn. Very smooth. He has got an exceptionally good line there, and he's very smooth, following the speed of 62 miles an hour coming out on the exit, as you would see with most drifters. Again, getting some cool little air on the jump just there. Very nice practice run from the drifter himself. It's complimentary to the gamer tag, obviously. He's got a nice Shelby Mustang, famous for the old snake badge. It's quite nice that people are using that with their gamer tags. There are a lot of people out there that have 240 in their gamer tags and stuff. So I can see a resemblance there. It's just nice to see. And again, I commented earlier, this guy's come a long way. I mean, Super Snake, it's good to see that he's got a lot faster in that Mustang that we've famously seen him previously.
Yeah, Super Snake has improved drastically over a very short period of time, really. He's got really good.
Okay, so this is the first qualifying run for Super Snake. Not as risky as the practice run. He didn't get as much of an entry on there. Transition wasn't too great, but this final turn, he is absolutely getting a crucial line on this turn. didn't quite get the exit that I'd anticipate from him, but that was a really solid final turn there on my behalf. So we just await to see if we can get the scores in from this, or whether he's sinking it or keeping it. He's got one redo. I'd give it a go.
He does indeed.
Oh, and it has been confirmed he is redoing that round, as we probably would anticipate. They've got one more redo left. Why not? You know, your partner's got a 70. He gambled on it. It's worked out for him, and I think Super Snake is in the right to do exactly the same. So we're now going
make
for.
This one count, though.
He has got to make this one count. We've seen it with Xerox previously. So first turn, a lot better from the previous run. He is averaging 55 miles an hour, and he's got a clip. Oh, and he's dropped a tyre on the transition.
Dropped another tyre.
And he's dropped the front. He is scraping through this again. This is the gamble that you take. The final turn that he killed earlier is not up to scratch.
You can't be happy with that.
You cannot be. I would be disappointed. But again, the gamble was there. I'd have took it. I'd have felt a bit confident.
It's that pressure and like knowing that that's your last chance to get that done, and the fact that you've got the pressure of doing it for a teammate as well. It just adds to that, and you know you got to try and suck that in. But you know it's only something that comes with experience, so you got to live and learn really.
I think with the previous run, if it had kept that, he'd have been looking at around a 78, maybe in the 80s. I mean, the entry wasn't too great, but the rest of the run was. I think he'd be lucky to get away with 70 on this run for the tyre drops. Nowhere near the score required. I mean, he can still be in the top 10, of course. We haven't had 10 teams running through, but it's very risky. Very risky indeed. I'd be looking at maybe a 144 on the team as an overall.
Yeah, I think the first run you could have seen a high 70 at least, but with the two tyre drops, I'm not sure how much they're going to deduct for those. It could be a possibility that they might give him a 0 for dropping twice. You know, it's maybe that's a possibility, or maybe they just do a serious points reduction. But we'll have to wait and see from the judges here, as we're just waiting for confirmation of his score.
I mean, credit to him, he did complete the run, he didn't just back out on it. And again, he actually kept to the speed limit, which we were shocked to see earlier from Go Riser. Oh, and terrible score coming in. Unfortunately, Super Snake, from his fantastic run earlier, he is only walking away with a 48. So team Funky Dynamite, which is FNK Oddball and FNK Super Snake, are only taking away 118 points. Does not put them in last place, because obviously the antics and the hooliganism shown by Riser puts the Zebras in last place. So we have finished the end of this lobby momentarily. We will be back very, very, very shortly with a few more drifters. They are waiting in the mist. Just to give you a quick roundup of who's in what rank, we have Triopisms, which is BD and Sun Deerfly. They are sitting in first place with 169 points. Sublime Drifting, SD Blinky and SD Moosey currently sitting in second place with 162. In third place, Superfly and Printer, which is Superfly and Xerox, with 157 points. Simply Sublime, SDZ and FNK Hakasuka, they have got 147 points. Following after that, we have Team Purple, Stanced and Uniques with 144 points. ZR2, the community favourite name for E.G. TaylorMade and Apex Bandit, they have got a total of 138. T-Baggins, XE Baggins and Drifter Dave, they've got 134 points. Funky Dynamite, Oddball and FNK Super Snake with 118 points, as we just witnessed. And in last place so far, Bob Studley and Go Riser with a total of 74 points. I have been SJD Stewie, XE Stewie, sorry. With my,
do you know who you are? You do know who you are.
I don't know who I am anymore. Looking at the way Forza 5's coming in, I don't even know what gamer tag I'm going to be rocking.
Maybe you'll be Stewie Baby TW2 again or something.
Possibly. Okay, so we've got the last lobby coming up very shortly. I've been XE Stewie, get it right this time. My co-host Edmard, and we will be back very shortly. Okay, welcome back to the DL's Best Pairs 2013 tournament. This is the third instalment of the tournament itself, and this is the third and final lobby of the live stream tonight. We have live commentary from myself, XE Stewie, and we also have live commentary from my co-host Edmard.
Hello.
Brought to you by Quantum Designs. Livestream is hosted by Spitzy in association with the Drift Lounge Community Signature Store and hosted by Simply Funky. Okay, so the pairs that we have coming up right now, we have Zairu and Tengu HD. Now, at the moment, they don't have a team name, so again, leave a comment on the YouTube page and we will update that in the name bracket for them on their behalf, just as a friendly kind of thing that we're going to do. Zairu will be leading, so we are told, and he is currently rocking a R32.
Yeah, it looks like he can't paint very well either. Like a hole on the back of his car. But not really sure what's going on here. He's just chilling out on the back.
I shall go into Game Shot now just to see what's going on. I'll leave you guys in the company of Edmard.
Okay, so tonight, so far, we've seen some really good drifting. In the lead at the moment, we've got Team Trapsims? Trapsim? Interesting name. But it's DBBD and Superfly. Two previous teammates of myself, and they did really good. Had scores of 82 from BD and 87 from Superfly, and they're leading the scores at the moment with a total score of 169. So I wonder if anyone in this lobby could potentially break that record at the moment. So we've got Zairu or Zairu, we're not really sure how to pronounce it, but I'm going to say Zairu. He's doing his practice run at the moment, and it's actually looking pretty good. It looks like he's on a wheel. Really smooth run, apart from the lag that I'm getting on my screen.
Quite a fast-paced run on my screen. Going looking very consistent through the entire run, around the 55-56 mile an hour kind of mark. Going a good solid run. I mean, as kind of pointed out, car doesn't look the part, but the drifter's doing the drifting, so that's all that counts in the tournament at the moment. Very smooth again. It's nice to see someone using an R32. Not sure if we've had that. We've had one in the previous lobby, but this is the second R32 that we've seen so far.
So he's going to be going for his proper run now, coming down, doing the 50 roll. Right, as he comes up to the first corner, nice quick initiation, plenty of angle all the way through, nice and aggressive, kissing that clipping point. It was about a foot off the second clipping point, but he got a nice snappy transition, and coming around the last corner, again, very nice clipping point, and still keeping it really smooth.
A good clean run, just as Edmard said. Very consistent. Each clipping point is kissing him on the way through. Very clean, moderate speed, and he's surprisingly going to redo the run in contention. I don't know why he would redo that run. I thought that was a very good solid run. He might be looking at the other guys who are in the lobby at the moment, thinking maybe I want to do better than these guys, give him something to aim for. But he's going to redo it. Looks perfect.
Possibly he can see better in himself. He believes he can do a better run, and if he feels comfortable with that, then obviously he'll do that. So right now he's going down, he's doing his 50 roll, reaches the end of the 50 roll, comes into another aggressive entry. Nice clipping point. He's a little bit further off that transition clipping point that time, and he's not quite as smooth coming into the last corner. Again, we've seen from other people before him, we've seen that taking a redo is not necessarily the best idea sometimes, and I think maybe he might be regretting what's going on here.
Unless, of course, he's going to deal one over on his teammate, maybe put the pressure on and take yet another redo. I'm not sure if he understands the rules completely. Oh, he is keeping it, so he's giving his partner the redo. Okay, so we're just awaiting the judges' results for this. It looks like he's going again for shits and giggles. We're not too sure what he's actually doing here. I mean, surely he shouldn't be redoing this run, so I'm just assuming he's going for it. And as a little
He did say he was
practice,
keeping it, right?
He did indeed say he was keeping it, as we can see on the screen. This run looks a little bit better than the one previous. So I wonder what he's doing here. I wonder what information, if we've got it coming up on our screen wrong, or whether he's just doing it for the sake of doing it. But we shall see momentarily what the score is.
Yeah, he's not a bad drifter, that guy. I have to say I'm not really familiar with him or his team. Do we know what team he's running on at the moment? S something, is it?
I'm not
3DMG. Who's that?
I'm not too sure myself. I'm sure people on the live stream may be telling us, maybe screaming the answer at us, or maybe he'll tell us in turn himself. But fortunately, Rod, we're just not too sure. We're not too sure who you are, but you are giving us an exceptional performance on the drift stream.
Yeah, it looks great. He's been doing really well, actually, and so that brings the expectations for his friend here, Tengu, to be quite high as well. I'm hoping, like, he's in a Supra, so me being someone who really enjoys driving a Supra, I'm hoping that he's going to do well.
This is the third Supra that we're seeing in the tournament so far. Again, interesting colourway. He's gone for the tearaway kind of graphics. I like the gold that's coming out of this. Kind of reminds me of almost like a top secret the top secret kind of gold resonating through the white vinyl. It's interesting, but is it your cup of tea, Edmar? Is it something you're impressed with?
Well, I can tell what vinyls he's used, so I don't know about that. It's not exactly the greatest paint job I've ever seen.
Okay, so the score for Zairu has just come in. He has actually taken a 72. So that is, judging by his first run, I'd have given the first one an 82. He could have got a whole 10 points clear of that, but he's got 72.
Tengu's going for his practice run now. We'll see what sort of, see if Zairu's set a bit too high of a benchmark for him, or if he can match what Zairu's done.
Looking at the practice run, he's looking a bit. He's not quite doing what Zairu's doing, but it is a practice run. He has had one tyre drop onto the rumble strip in the transition coming into the final turn. Be interesting to see his recovery plan for this in the next in his next run. But obviously he's got one redo as well. Obviously his teammate hasn't been greedy. Best of friends here. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see if he can pull it out of the bag here. On his practice run, he was way off the first clip, so hopefully he can sort that out for his proper run, and we can see a really nice, consistent run from him. I'm just literally just seeing from that run, I'm expecting him to be at least decent. We should see a mid-70s score, I think. I think we should expect that. Okay, so entering into the first corner here, nice and speedy, in 75 after the entry. Pulling 67 miles an hour on the clipping point and hitting 54 at the second clip. Nice and kissing all the clipping points he's going through. Nice angle through the last corner. Full throttle, full counter steer. Possibly a bit of a shallow line exiting the corner that could hinder his points there. But all in all, a really solid run here from Tengu HD.
I'm quite interested in the run he's actually done. The final turn, I do that. He's keeping the run, by the way, guys, but I do that sometimes on this final turn. I don't always exit. I'm not too sure sometimes the way people judge it, because most people go, oh, it's the clipping points down the rumble strip, and some guys go, no, I want to see you guys exiting the turn with full angle. But it just depends how far people want to judge it. Obviously, it's different corner judging to spectate from what we can see. He's keeping the run. Again, so we're just waiting on the judges to give us feedback of that score. Judges are taking a lot of accounts into consideration. They're looking at angle, line, speed, and the overall impression. And the overall impression of that run was good.
Yes, it was a really consistent run, and it pulled plenty of angle and speed going into the first and second corner. Third corner was it was okay. I feel like at the third corner he kind of reached the limit of the angle of that car, and he literally just got through with it by the skin of his teeth. And that could be possibly why he was shallow coming out of the corner and not quite making full use of the track, which is probably what the judges want to see here. You want to be able to see the guys using all of the track as much as they can.
A little bit more dynamics in the skill. Maybe he's just feathered the throttle a bit, put the power down, and he can't get the exit because he's tried so hard with that angle, and he's done so well in that in the actual run. I'd be interested to be a fly on the wall at the moment, see how the judges actually do this. He's coming with a 69. Obviously, no pun there. He's got a 60. He's got a 69. Zairu's got a 72. So they got 141 overall. Not a bad run. It doesn't put him in last place, but it does put him kind of midway up there, just behind Team Purple, who have 144.
I have to say, I'm surprised at a 69 there. I was expecting something better there. It was at least mid-70s. It was a decent run from what I saw anyway.
Okay, so up next we should be looking at a guy called Fruitless Soup 38. Fruitless Soup is partnered with his partner called JLo. Obviously, no, it's not the R&B singer. And we're looking at his car at the moment. It looks like it has been completely writ off. He's the second person we're seeing use an S14 with a different wing choice. Quite an interesting team name
strange,
as well.
Wing choice there.
It is. Illuminate blue. Well, I'm assuming he's going for his practice run. It looks completely sketchy to me. Team name for these guys is Frisky Nipples, so maybe we're going to see something maybe a little bit special from these guys. I'd hope so, but whether I'm lagging or this guy's going crazy, but he's just snaking left to right on some of these turns.
Yeah, I think there might be a slight bit of lag for you there. He seems pretty consistent for me. Decent run. We'll have to wait and see on his full run.
If you guys are tuning in at the moment, we are on the third and final lobby of the drift stream for the Pairs Best DL tournament of 2013. Just so you're aware, myself, XE Stewie and Edmard are commentating on the event, and the event is also brought to you by partnership through Quantum Designs. Spitzy, kindly enough, is busting it out with the live stream, giving you all great coverage and updating 1,000,001 things in the background, and I don't think guys who do this kind of stuff get enough credit for the work they put out. So props to Spitzy, who's sitting there updating stuff day in, day out. This looks like the first qualifying run coming in for Fruitless Soup. Ugh.
It was a nice wide entry there into the first corner, but I think it was a bit late on entry, so he's had to keep it quite slow going through the rest of the run, unfortunately.
Sorry for my side there. I just think it might have lagged on my screen, so it looked completely terrible. I've seen cones and bumpers flying everywhere.
Yeah, well, for me it wasn't too laggy for me. Obviously there was a little bit, but first corner he came in with a nice wide line, and we just heard that he's keeping the run, so obviously he was satisfied with what he's done there. I have to say it was a decent run, and he should have kept that. He got a really nice line all the way through there, and it was really consistent.
And he's done a lot better than the previous S14 driver, because he hasn't sat there trying to get every single speeding fine known to man on the entry of a tournament on the live. So far, congratulations there, Fruitless Soup. You are by far the best S14 driver we've seen in the Pairs Comp so far.
So we're just waiting on the judges to deliberate and give us their score. Personally, I think we're going to see possibly a low 70s here. It wasn't very speedy. It wasn't the best line that he could have taken, but it was a really good effort.
Interesting colour scheme as well. It's looking like it's is it the Chris Forsberg NOS Energy from the 350Z replica just pasted on there. I'm not too sure. I'm not too up to date on replicas. This might be something legit that's already on the market. people are drifting right now, but it just looks like something very Chris Forsberg-ish.
Yeah, interesting you bring up Formula Drift. At the moment, we've got, I think it's New Jersey on this weekend. And just before we started this lobby on the live stream, Daigo Saito knocked out Vaughan Jr., which is pretty cool. He extends his lead in the championship of Formula D, and really pumped to see him go forward. Obviously, I've got to commentate on here, so I'm gonna have to wait and see on that. You guys can probably give us a bit of lowdown in the comments of the video.
Okay, the score has come in. They have considered lag as an option, but they have done a good, fair analysis from the different guys who've been tuning in to watch it. This guy has actually been granted an 82 for that run. So very well done to Fruitless Soup. So that's 82. That's half the score coming in for Frisky Nipple. So we are now going to go and tune into JLo 29 to see if he can deliver the other half of the nipple.
The other nipple.
The other nipple. So what do you say? These guys are a couple of tits, or? I think that was his practice run. I kind of missed it coming onto it, but it looked quite aggressive in the final turn. Again, another interesting car choice. He's rocking a BMW. This is the first one we've seen so far. The cars these guys are using look like they're very European, kind of drift friendly. The kind of things you'd see that people on the grassroots kind of level will be building up. So you've got the E36s, the E30s, S40s, T40 SXs, just anything people can get their hands on. I like the impression. But that's the impression these guys are giving me. They're just keeping it very, very down to earth, very real, very real. They're not using modest cars. They're not sitting there rocking R34s and Supras that we've seen and ZR1s. They've been quite unique with the choice, because you wouldn't use these cars as underdogs in most competitions.
On we go is a nice aggressive entry here from JLo.
Oh, he's just stumped it on the first corner.
That was two tyres off.
He has two readies here. Maybe Fruitless knows JLo's traits here, and he's just going to keep that run anyway. It doesn't appear to be lagging on our screen either. So I mean, we've seen that clear as day. He has just come off the first corner here.
Indeed.
As you would imagine, there's a redo. And it's nice to see he's coming back and he's got his teammate drifting behind him, like a bit of encouragement. Man, his teammate's kind of failed there, but you know, it's just nice to see something like that. A little bit of team bonding, just give him something to push against. Because at the end of the day, these guys are qualifying at the moment. We're not even at the stage where these guys are going to be battling it out, and that's just going to be awesome to watch, because the talent that's available in the competition at the moment is quite high. So it's going for the final entry, final run. Averaging around 49 miles an hour. He hasn't really transitioned that well. He hasn't maintained the speed. Final turn, he's not gone close to the clipping point. It looks like he's an average drifter. He's doing what he can. 55, 56 miles an hour coming at the end of the turn. Personally, if I was a judge, I'd be giving him around somewhere between the 60 and 70 mark for that, unless he gives it a redo. But
yeah, unless he takes a redo, I would say it was probably in the 60s. I mean, entering the first corner was where he made his first mistake, and he entered far too shallow, and that affected his line all the way through. It's the thing with drifting. When you enter into the first corner, you're entering in a way that's going to give you that clipping point, but it's also going to set you up for the rest of the run in the perfect way. And yeah, we have heard that he is doing a redo, which is understandable. He needs to take a wider line into that first corner if he's going to get a good clipping point and a good line for the rest of the run.
Maybe the old trait of the car being the slight underdog in competitions is kind of pulling out. Maybe it's his drift score. Maybe it is the car choice. This run is looking a lot better. He has set himself up. He's a little bit slower than the previous run, but he's taking it steady. He's taking it right. He's doing the right thing. He's getting quite close to the clipping point. He's not busting the angle out, but he's playing. I wouldn't say he's playing it safe, but he's just taking the nerves away, taking the pressure away. He knows it's the last run. He's done really well there for that run.
Yeah, I think he was just making sure that he didn't make any mistakes, really. And, you know, like, just making sure that you don't mess it up is probably the most important thing that he could have done. I mean, you know, and even he improved on what he did last run. Last run, he was far too shallow going into that first corner, and that time he managed to bring it right out to the edge by that tyre wall, and that's what we want to see. And he got a much better line through the course. And obviously, it's not a perfect line, and maybe not the best we've seen tonight, but you know, he's done really well. I think he should be proud.
Okay, so as we wait for these scores, we will be tuning in on Ryonic and Collar, the two members that form Team Simply Funky within the pairs competition. Obviously, both members of Simply Funky, the guys who are running the team. So I'm just going to go ahead and change my camera to Ryonic while we await the results. I wonder what the judges are taking into consideration here with this drifter. In fact, I think we are bumping into some technical difficulties on track. Ryonic and Collar were supposed to be running next, but it's looking like Ryonic is not even present in the lobby at this moment in time. So I think we're going to go straight to Dwight and Steve. Dwight being the member from JSI, and Steve obviously being the co-member of our host, Spitzy, for smooth operation. And we've just got the score in from JLo, his previous run. He got a modest 71. It's not too bad. They got a 153 overall. It's put them quite around the midsection, higher than Simply Sublime and Team Purple that we've seen earlier in the previous live streams. So Frisky Nipples, moderate. They're doing all right. I think they should take that humbly. That was a good performance from them. So it's a 153 total. So we have Dwight and Steve running next, and Dwight will be running first for Team Just Slide operation. Dwight's car choice is interesting. He is using a Subaru. This is the first time we've seen a Subaru in this event. And the paint job on it is absolutely awesome. I'm not too sure if they are his own re-event work or it could be Minty's, because I know he's produced something like this before. Apologies if it isn't, but this is a very, very precise practice run, busting it out, getting early transitions, getting early into the corners, but maintaining the speed, maintaining the angle, maintaining the line. This is what we've come to expect from JSI Dwight and drifters of his caliber. Very good, solid practice run. I'd expect to be pushing at least the 80s with this practice run alone. So let's just see what he can produce on the qualifying.
I'm hoping to see something good out of Dwight. You know, we expect him to be of this sort of level. And yeah, I think you're right on saying that those are Minty's vents there for the S204. This is in case some of you are wondering, oh, how did he get that body kit? How did he get that wing? That's a unicorn car on Forza 4, in case some of you didn't know.
And in case Spitz is recording it without that unicorn car, you are currently looking at a Volkswagen. Oh, you're good. He's good. Okay, so this is the first qualifying run for JSI Dwight. Other members of JSI that are in this competition are Nando, and we believe the second one is Rhythm. Their team name is just like standard JSI. And again, those two are drifters that you would expect to see some performances out of, just based on previous team battles and previous rankings that they've got from Virtual Formula Drift. So here we are, we have Dwight approaching the 50 roll area for the tournament.
Nice aggressive entry there, putting plenty of speed going into the first corner, hitting the first clip, but I think he pulled on the handbrake there for a second on the first clip and made a bit of correction, which meant he didn't reach the second clipping point. But the third clipping point, he was bang on that and really smooth and lovely through that last corner.
Really good smooth recovery, and might I add, he maintained 67 miles an hour through that first turn. A very, very fast first turn indeed. Might be why he's had to pull the handbrake. Maybe it's something he's used to doing. He might have knew himself he's going in too hot, pulled the handbrake or ripped the brake on, and all of a sudden he's just completely lost where he is on track. But he's recovered so well. I'd assume there's a redo in there. He might think he's had a good run himself. I'm not too sure. And he's gone for the redo. Without the biasness of both judges here, we know what Dwight can do. You guys who were watching know what Dwight can do. He knows what he can do. He is not happy with this run.
Okay, so here he goes. 50 roll.
A very good 50 roll, might I add. He's the one guy who's actually just done the 50 roll at 49 miles an hour. Spot
Really
on with
nice.
that transition. Very good. A little bit too slow coming into the third turn.
Yeah,
It looked
made a
like
correction there.
he made a correction, but again, he dominated what he'd done in the previous run. The way he handled that transition, he made sure he corrected that, and I think he put too much thought into that and didn't realise where he was for third turn. But a very, very, very good run. Overall, I feel it's not got the X factor. It's not got the capabilities that you'd expect from Dwight. I'd expect between a 70 and a mid 80 for that. Again, the bracket's quite high.
In the 80s, that one. That was a very smooth run.
And he's gone for the final redo, leaving Stevo with nothing left to hold on to. Stevo's got to do this in one run with cold tyres.
I can understand that. He made a very large correction on the last corner, entering into it. He just was too aggressive on the transition.
Do you think Stevo can pull it off in one run?
I hope he can.
I don't think he has much of a choice now. Let's just see if this was team tactics. Okay, so the first turn, killing that entrance angle. Looking at the transition, wasn't too bad. Has he done the same on the third and final turn? I'm not too sure. I've got a bit of lag. Speed isn't as fast as previous competitors. He actually averaged 49, exiting just under 60. So we will see if the judges can see that, if they take that into consideration. But a much improved run overall.
It's a slightly slower run from him. The second clipping point there was he was slightly off it. It wasn't quite as cleanly met as it was on the previous run. But, you know, that's it now. That's all he can do. He's just going to have to wait for the judge's verdict.
I think while we're here, I'm going to go move over to Smooth Operation Steve 24 just to see how he's getting on with his car. Is he sitting there going back and forth? Again, another different car choice. Steve is using the the culprit of a some would say a scandal of the Honda S2000. We know that a few DMI guys and a few of us on the forums contested against the tyre width regulation used against Stevo, but I mean, credit to him. How many people do you know are just going to sit there using a Honda, drifting it? And he's not even doing 50 right. I'm not too sure what he's doing.
I think he opted out of doing that run there. He's got to go for his practice run surely soon, but we don't know what the score is for his teammate yet. Interesting thing about the Honda S2000 is the VTEC is well known for having a laggy. We got a score which is 98 from JSI Dwight. A 98, that's a brilliant score.
It's a weird contest for the 98 because, I mean, as judges, we might have seen something that went a little bit wrong there, but a 98, he did murder the first turn, did get the correction. It maybe had a slight correction, but he absolutely killed the first turn. Overall, I think the style might have just helped him through that run. Speed as well, very aggressive. Clipping point might not have been there, but that angle, everything else was there. He got a 98 overall. Maybe we've seen something different to the judges. I'm not going to criticise them. 98 is very impressive. So we've got Stevo going in for what I believe is a practice run.
Interesting about the Honda S2000 is what I was saying before we found out about that point was that the VTEC engine in Hondas that you find has got quite a lot of lag in the amount of power output during the low revs. So when you're running a Honda S2000, you've got to remember to keep it high revs so that you've got enough power to keep those wheels spinning. And usually that comes about by clever gearing, which I've found when I've been tuning Honda S2000s.
I've almost felt the kind of same with, I don't know if it's just me as a drifter, but with the RX-7, once I lose revs in the car, it's hard to maintain the control of the car. It might just be my novice experience with the RX-7, but it's certainly a high revving engine. It does enjoy the revs because it's a rotor. And
that's true, yeah.
I just feel sometimes you can't take corners at 3,000 to 4,000 revs in that thing. It just dies on you. Maybe
it's true, the rotary engines are they're a lot smoother with their power output, and I'd say that the amount of power that it's putting out in like 6,000 revs is enough. But you know, the under 6,000 revs in this Honda S2000, there's no power at all. So let's see how he does.
Stevo coming in very fast with 75. He's now just managed to go down to 53. It's not the best run that I've seen for the first two corners. Very fast entrance though, very aggressive, but just slightly off the clipping point I felt for the transition. Final turn though, hats off to the guy. That is the best third turn I think I've seen of the night. Completely killed the speed on that.
Yeah, it was really good on that third turn.
Very aggressive, very precise.
Dwight probably got his really good score because his first turn on Dwight's run was actually perfect. There was nothing he could have done better on that first turn, and we see that from Steve here on that last turn. I think that was a perfect last turn.
In no way, shape or form either are we comparing the similarities of a rotary to a Honda engine. I mean, there's obviously got the haters of the Honda kind of VTEC kind of system, and there's people out there that don't prefer rotaries, but we're just saying from a drifter's point of view, just the way the game handles both the engines, not in real life, but the way the game handles it, you need high revs for these cars. You need to tune them well because they feel horrific. They're not the easiest cars to drift. Steve's got his work out with this Honda. There's not a lot of decent Honda drivers out there that we feel. The only other that comes to mind is Ghostface using the Honda NSX previously on FM2 and FM3. But it's nice to see Steve's bringing back this car now. I'm sure we'll see a lot more Hondas in success after this, I would have thought.
Yeah, they can be really good if you tune them right. It just takes that dedication to get it right. And you know, it is difficult, and I found personally my fix for VTECs is to get a good gearing in there so that you can maintain a high rev range. And you know, with rotaries as well, it's important to have the revs up. So again, you've got to consider the gearing. But other cars, you know, every car is different. You've got to consider different things. Like Dwight, Steve's teammate, is running a Subaru, and they're very well known for having really torquey Boxster engines. And you've got to be able to balance that with the horsepower, because torque is a very important factor when you're building a drift car. You've got to be able to have enough torque to keep those wheels spinning, and it's got to be balanced with the amount of grip that your car is generating.
Okay, so we just had the confirmed results in for SO Steve. SO Steve has got a 90, and that just puts Just Slide Operation right up there into the ranks. They have walked away with a 188 out of 200. This is by far the highest score we have had so far in the pairs tournament. So just giving you a quick synopsis, as this is the last run of the night, we've been told. Just Slide Operation in first with 188. Treepism, we think that's what it's called. Oh, we've got one more run coming up. Sorry, we've been told we're having OJ Collar and another guy who's coming in to do a run. We think it might be Rynick. So we're just backing out very quickly from the game here. But just so we can give you the rankings while the guys are setting up the next lobby. JSI are first with Dwight and Steve running 188. Second place is Triopism, which is BD or Bayday and Sunday Fly with 169. Third
Definitely
place,
BD.
oh, definitely BD. Okay.
Yeah.
Third place, Sublime Drifting, which is Blinky and Moosey. They have a 162. Fourth place, and still falling from that second place spot they clinched earlier, Superfly and Xerox with a 157. Sixth place, we have Frisky Nipples, which is Fruitless Soup and JLo. They have a 71. They have a 153. Sublime, Simply Sublime, which is Sublime Drift Z and Funky Hakasuka. They have 147. Following in behind that is Team Purple, which is Stance and Uniques with the 144. Zairu and Tengu have 141. E.g. TaylorMade and Apex Bandit falling just behind them with 138. T Baggins, Exy Baggins and Drifter Dave in 10th place with 134 points. Just falling out of the top 10 bracket in 11th place is Funky Dynamite, which is FNK Oddball and FNK Super Snake with 118. As you can see, the shenanigans we've seen earlier in 12th place and definitely out of the competition is Zebras, which is Bob Studley and Go Riser. They have a total of 74 points. So the rankings at the top three, we have JSI, Triopism and Sublime Drifting. So we will be back shortly with a final battle to take place.
Okay, so we know that Ryonic will be qualifying first, and he's going to be going for his practice runs. Okay, so it looks like we're having some live stream problems. The Xbox of Spitzy has frozen, so unfortunately we won't be able to bring you that. So if you close it down completely. All right.